My most anticipated movie of 2024 has finally arrived. Hello everyone, my name is Jesse and welcome to another video on my channel. Dune Part 2 is finally in theaters. This was my most anticipated movie of 2024. So today I'm finally giving you my review on this incredible movie. I have seen the movie twice now, both times in IMAX. And this movie, Dune Part 2, elevates everything that you loved from the first movie. Visual effects are insane, the score is incredible, the costume design is better in this movie, I think, especially with Florence Pugh's character. She was great. This movie just elevates everything from the first movie and makes it so much better. This movie really is a spectacle that needs to be seen on the absolute biggest screen possible that you can. There were several shots throughout the movie that had my jaw on the floor. I was genuinely in awe of how they were able to pull them off. What's especially great about this movie is since the first movie had the burden and the responsibility of doing all of the world building of these planets and laying the foundation for this world and these characters, Dune Part 2 can just start off straight in the action. This movie gives you all of the action and the fight sequences that you really wanted from the first movie, and it's awesome. The visual effects are quite literally out of this world in this movie. I want every frame of this movie like hung on my walls because it all just looks freaking fantastic. I mean, like I said, see it on the biggest screen that you can, because there are so many moments and individual shots that are just absolutely incredible. I have no idea how they were able to pull them off, but they did, and it looks awesome. The score, Hans Zimmer delivers somehow an even better score than the first movie, and I loved the score in this. The score and the sound design of this film had my seat literally shaking in the theater. It's awesome. I've been listening to the score on a loop ever since I saw the movie. It's incredible, and it sounds awesome. The acting continues to be great in this movie. Timothée Chalamet continues to be fantastic as the protagonist, Paul Atreides, and in this movie you really see his character arc more, and you see him kind of become this messiah character and him gaining more control and more power, and he uses that for both good and bad throughout the film. And it's just really fun to see the progression of his character and where that leads him and where it leaves everything at the end of the movie. Zendaya is great as Chani. It was great to see more of her character. We saw like 5-10 minutes of her character in part 1. This one she's put a little bit more in the forefront along with Paul, and her character was great. And alongside that, I also want to talk about the romance between Paul and Chani. I was a little bit worried going into this movie because I thought it might be a little bit forced, or they were just gonna try and do it for the hell of it because he was the main man and she was the lead woman. But it didn't really feel that forced. You actually understood their motivations, and you understood what they saw in each other that made them fall in love with each other. Rebecca Ferguson's character has a lot more to do in this movie. She had a ton of great moments. She was one of my favorite characters in the entire movie. And I also want to talk about Javier Bardem's character. He was also one of my favorites. And he had a lot of great lines throughout the movie that were kind of naturally funny, not really meant to be funny. They weren't like funny in a comedic way, but his line delivery and the way he's just able to deliver them, it had, both times I saw it, it had my crowd laughing the entire time. I also really wish that we got to see more of the Emperor and his daughter in this movie, played by Christopher Walken and Florence Pugh. Both of their characters were fantastic, and I can understand why we didn't see a lot of them because there's only so much you can do even in a 3-hour movie. But they were both great characters, and I wish we got to see more of them. But the real standout character for me was the new villain, Fade Routha, played by Austin Butler. He is a terrifying villain, and he's a true psychopath. He really, one thing that he did really well was his character lacks any feeling of remorse or guilt. So when he kills someone, he literally does it for fun. He enjoys it. He'll freaking there's a moment in his first scene. He is about to go into like this gladiator fight, and he gets new blades, and he's like, the tip needs to be sharper, and just freaking cut someone's throat for the hell of it. It's it's terrifying. And Austin Butler said in an interview that he took a lot of inspiration from animals, especially snakes like the black mamba, to get a feel for how the characters should look and act and move. And when I just read that last night, and when I saw this movie, that's exactly what was going through my mind. The look, his like black teeth and black mouth with the pale exterior, and his like creepy smile and facial expressions totally reminded me of a snake the entire time. So it was great to read that, to see that that was intentional. Also, pretty unrecognizable in the movie. If I didn't know that it was Austin Butler going into seeing it, I would never have guessed until the credits rolled. Um, Even after seeing his name, I don't know if I would have guessed. You can't tell it's him, and it's crazy. He's a fantastic villain, and I wish we could have seen more of his character as well. This movie also went a lot more in depth into kind of the beliefs and the ideas of the Fremen. They go a lot into their idea of this Messiah character, or as they call it, the Lisan al Gaib. And they believe that Paul is their chosen one, the one that will kind of save them and lead them to paradise victory. And throughout the movie, this is where Javier Bardem's character really shined, because he believed right from the start that he was the one, that he was their Messiah, their chosen one, and no one else really believed him. Even Zendaya's character at first didn't believe in him. There's one moment in particular where Paul Stilgar, Javier Bardem's character Stilgar, and Chani are arguing over whether or not Paul really is the Messiah. And Paul interrupts her saying, Johnny's right, I'm not your Messiah. I'm just here to learn your ways and fight with your people. And Stilgar's like, oh, he's too humble to admit he is the Messiah, so that further proves he really is. And it's just a great line that got my theater's crowd laughing both times. And that whole bit, that whole running gag throughout the movie with Stilgar reminded me a lot of the movie Life of Brian, which I thought was hilarious. There's also, it goes more in depth on their kind of their beliefs with water, because they live on a desert, and they're so low on water. I mean, they're so low on water that Chani can't even believe in the idea of swimming. She literally can't believe that there can be that much water at one place in one time, that you can just like put your entire body into it, just swim in it instead of savoring it and drinking it. And there's also a running bit throughout the movie, especially with Rebecca Ferguson's character, two times with her and Stilgar. There's one part at the very beginning where she is about to vomit. She's trying to hold back her vomit, and Stilgar says, don't let it out, don't let it out, and she eventually has to. She can't hold it anymore, so she pukes. And then there's another moment later where a single tear comes out of her eye, and I don't remember exactly what Stilgar says, but he said something along the lines of like, don't ever waste your body's water on something as small as this. And it just went to show how almost like letting your the precious water that you have in your body, letting out like that, puking or crying or something, it's almost like a sacrilegious thing to them, because they are so low on water that it's almost disrespectful to kind of waste your water in that way. And I thought that was really interesting, and I think that that added another layer to there are people that kind of made you care for them a lot more, and I thought it was a great thing throughout the movie. The sandworms are also featured much more heavily in this movie, and there's one scene in particular that's one of my favorite scenes in the movie, where in order to actually become a Fremen and become one of them, Paul has to learn how to ride a sandworm. And the scene is absolutely incredible. The visual effects are stunning. The score gave me chills. My seat was shaking from the sound. The entire thing is just amazing. And by the end, I was sitting on the edge of my seat with my jaw on the floor. It's incredible. And they're also used in a couple of battle and fight sequences throughout the movie. And the design of them just looks really, really cool. And they're used to great effect in this movie. They're used in a very cool way. With this movie, Denis Villeneuve further proves that he is an all-time incredible director. This is my new favorite film of his, and Denis Villeneuve has become one of my favorite directors ever, just over the past couple of months. And I love it. He has proven that he is able to tell big scale stories with big budgets, but you're not just there for the visual effects. He knows how to actually tell a story and make you care for the characters, which honestly not a lot of directors can do with big scale stories like this. All in all, my most anticipated movie of 2024 did not disappoint, and I cannot wait to watch it again. Dune Part 2 is a visual masterpiece that needs to be seen in theaters on a big screen with a crowded theater. Go see it. You will not be disappointed. If you liked the first one, you will most likely like this one even more. If you didn't like the first one, you're probably not going to be super crazy about this one. So there you go. That is my review on Dune Part 2. What did you think of this movie? Let me know. What is your favorite Denis Villeneuve movie? And until my next video, like this video, subscribe to my channel, share this video with your friends and family, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.